spirits there. And remember, you live there. The people who come and they stir it up, they leave.
Yeah, I've had people ask to come in and investigate, and we say no, and we're very set on that. That just will not happen.
Well, you know, I got to say this. One of my guests was a retired state police detective, homicide detective, and all that. And he got, I think you might remember the show a little bit, but one of his cases that he would be like in a living room of this house, and like all of a sudden quarters would just drop from nowhere. And, you know, he at first when it was going on, he didn't believe it till he saw it. And, you know, it was like, where are these quarters coming from?
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of a landmark case. That's my friend, too. I know the case you're talking about. That was an amazing case. I mean, it truly is.
Yeah, to whatever, I can't remember. I think they solved it at the end, where that stopped.
Wasn't that the house that there was, I don't know if I may be wrong, but I think that was the one where they built the house where they didn't move the cemetery, they didn't move the graves, I believe, and they were in the yard, I think.
No, I think that's a separate one, because we were talking about...
Oh, that was a separate one?
Yeah,
okay.
He was talking about the one where, you know, he first got the message from the people, you know, going crazy, saying, hey, they had a whole bucket full of quarters, and like these quarters would appear from nothing, and that, I can't figure out how an entity could do that. Do you have any idea, just out of curiosity? How could they manifest? How can they manifest quarters?
Yeah, that one is just kind of mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of strength to do that. And the thing is, in the spirit world, they don't have, like, I think their time is not like ours. It's different. So in order for them to do that and transport things, well, look at it like this. You've had tools come up missing that you probably haven't found to this day, right?
Correct.
Right, so they went somewhere into a portal or somewhere, and I believe that's the same process with that money. The quarter, they would just, that was their way of trying to communicate something to the people there.
Well, you know, I was thinking maybe somebody that lived there at one time was a hoarder and collected, you know, a couple bucketfuls of quarters in their lifetime, and, you know, and all of a sudden that's how the quarters were coming. I just don't think... to manifest quarters, if they manifested, I would think it would dissolve or disappear. But they, you know, he said that they, you know, were actual quarters and they didn't disappear.
I know that is an amazing story. I'll tell you what, it's one of a kind. I haven't heard too many things like that, but it's amazing.
Well, the source, you know, I did check him out. And he was what he said he was, a retired state detective.
Yeah.
You know, and
he is. I know him, and he is. He's a legit, honest guy. He really is.
Oh boy, you know, that's the only thing I'm scared at. I'm 67 years old, and boy, when you know, it's only one person I want to haunt, and I'm not going to say who it is when I pass on. But
I already know.
No, you don't. But don't give me a second person, okay?
Let me ask you this: what would you do if a spirit of a Bigfoot, the one that threw that rock at the car, came to your house?
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. You know, that's why I only started talking honestly about it on my show. And because I brought it up today because I had people, you know, asking me, you know, they listen to the older shows and, you know, they hear what my experience is. But you know what? You can believe it or not believe it. But I can say this, if you're out looking for a Bigfoot, you're not going to find it. You know, in my case, like, as you know, I was out in the middle of nowhere of an old internment camp up in the Canadian Rockies. I wasn't looking for a bear or Bigfoot or anything, but it found us and I found it. And I'll tell you that it really changed my mind in the paranormal, because when I started out broadcasting in 1976, I'll be honest with you, I looked at it, hey, all these people are crackpots. Till... You know, I had 3 encounters in my life. Maybe I'm lucky. The first one was a UFO back in 1970-something up in New Mexico. That really kind of freaked me out. The Bigfoot, and then working at that business in Tacoma. Those 3 things really opened my eyes up that there are some things out here I can't account. I just can't account for it.
I can assure you, the day you saw the Bigfoot, that changed your mind and probably changed your life a little bit for sure.
Well, I've never gone camping after that.
There you go. I don't blame you. Dang, go on.
I don't know. But why don't you tell...
Has your wife let you use the car again?
She does, but you know what? She's still to this day, I don't drink. I really don't drink. I maybe drink 1 or 2 dark beers a year. I don't drink any hard stuff. I don't smoke pot. I will say I tried pot candy twice because when I had my problem with my cancer in my leg, but I found out, you know what, that didn't do anything for me. So I haven't done anything wrong. But, to this day, she keeps wondering, what, did I go out on a drinking binge? Did I smoke something I shouldn't have? And I ran into something. Well, I did run into something, but
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. She never has forgiven me for her brand new car. What happened to it?
That's something. That is amazing. Between that and the story with your first wife when you came home that day, that right there is a book.
Yeah, well, what can I say?
Yeah.
Now, your new book, Don, how's the sales been going on it? And has it just recently come out?
Yes, it has just come out, so it's really just finding its footing. But yeah, it's doing well, and I find that these books do well at Gettysburg and tend to do very well in the summer and fall. This is kind of the slow season. So, I'm trying to get the word out there, and the reception to it has been very good. It's a little bit different than the first book. I delve a little more into the science and the theories and kind of analyzing some of the things that I've had happen to me.
Have they ever figured out how many bodies are actually buried in Gettysburg?
Well, there were several thousand who, were killed or mortally wounded. A lot of the Confederate bodies that they could find were reinterred, like at Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond. But there are still, as far as Northern soldiers, there are several thousand buried there, and they still occasionally find graves that had been overlooked.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And you know what else? They dug up and moved a bunch of Confederate soldiers, and that really, I'm telling you, that stirred up a lot of stuff when they did that. I just did. You can't do that.
Well, James, when was the last time you were at Gettysburg?
September, I think the week of September 9th, of just last September.
And Don, when's the last time you've been at Gettysburg?
Would have been late October, actually.
Wow.
It was the weekend before Halloween.
Well, then there's your point why it probably is really active.
Yeah, there's so much there. Wow. But wow.
And it's quite a place, and I try to build some time in whenever I'm there to do some investigating, and quite honestly, sometimes I've had my best results in daylight, not at night.
Oh, yeah. And let me ask you, the places you stayed at, did you stay in any of the haunted inns at all when you were there?
Actually, it's not a high dollar hotel and doesn't have a great reputation, but the Colton Motel is extremely active. My grandson and I stayed there on our trip, and there was somebody walking around the room and messing with the coat hangers, but nobody was there.
Right. See, I stayed at the Balladary, and I seen a couple spirits. I seen a spirit of an old woman standing in the corner looking at me at 2 o'clock in the morning. Waved at her, and the chandelier went off. Every night I went by there. I mean, I got pinched outside, out in the yard. So there's a lot of stuff there day and night. I agree with you on that one.
My wife and I stayed at the Colton, and we came back, and our room had not been made up. The bed hadn't been made. We didn't have new linens. We went and asked, and they apologized that the maid had quit, but apparently she was in one of the active rooms and saw something or heard something, and she quit. Then and there, she just ran out and was gone.
Oh, wow! Now, how old are these motel hotels?
The Colton, I'm thinking, dates to the 1950s, but it's built on battlefield land. I know the Louisiana Tigers would have advanced across that area, headed to East Cemetery Hill.
Interesting.
In that Ballard area, I would think it's 1830s when it was built, but they transformed into a hospital. The wooden floors are so stained with blood, it's just palpable, the energy there. It's outside of town in the country, and that hospital road leads to it, and that's where we've seen what I call electric mist shaped of soldiers walking across the road 3 nights in a row.
Well,
and that's why I say, wherever you stay, you can investigate wherever you're staying at in some of them inns.
Well, I got to ask you a question, James. Have you ever got to the point where weird things like this goes on, and you feel like, I'm not going to do this anymore, I'm done, I'm going to find a new hobby?
I did that a couple of times, especially when I got married and had a little kid 20-some years ago. But then I'm always back in it. But then I got to a point where I don't need answers. I've got all the answers. So now I'll help somebody if they need help, or come in and face real evil for them or something, and try to do house blessings and whatever it takes to help people with paranormal problems. Whatever it is, I'll do it. But I don't need any more proof. I've seen it all. I don't need any more proof. Now I basically help people with paranormal problems. If they need it, I'll go do it.
Oh, wow. Now, Don, do you have a blog or anything like this, or a website where you talk about your experiences or anything?
Yes, I have a couple of websites. I still do some of my historical publishing, and I do publish other authors' books since my retirement from the paper. It's www.fatedbanner.com. It's Fated Banner Publications. My paranormal books and my musings on the paranormal you'll find at ImetAGhost.com.
Oh, wow. And where's your books available at?
You can order them from either website. They're also available at bookstores. You can order them on Amazon. Both the printed books and ebooks are available.
Oh, wow. And how big a read is this? Is it something you can read over the weekend, or a little bit longer, or a little shorter?
No, I'd say a weekend would do it. We're talking, 130-some pages is my latest book. The first book is very similar, maybe just a touch less, maybe 128, I think. So, and I write a weekly column for the newspaper. I still write that. It's called On My Mind. It's kind of a very personal, I give my personal takes, experiences, and I try to write the books very much in that style. So I try to make it an easy read, but thought-provoking as well.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Well, anything else you want to bring up here before we wrap it up here, Don? And
I really appreciate you having me on the show, and I think what I try to achieve with these books is really to get people thinking that it's very plain to me that our existence on this earth, there's more to it. Once we take our final breath, I think our personalities do indeed in some form survive, at least in many cases, and that I'm kind of curious what does come after.
Well, you got me really now thinking about when I pass on, because, you don't really think about passing on till you get the magic 5-0, and then we hit the 6-0, and then when you get up to 6-5, and then you start wondering, how many more days, how many more years, how many more months you have. And then you wonder, what is the afterlife? Am I going up to the pearly gates, or am I going to be stuck here on earth? It makes me just wonder what I would hate to pass on and not go to heaven. I'm wondering why. Maybe you can answer this, James, why some of these people get stuck here and not, go over. I always thought if you lived a good life, you either went to heaven or you went to that, hot place where that pineapple went with Adolf Hitler, in that one movie.
Yeah.
But
well, what I've found is whenever you pass, you will have a window of opportunity to cross over. And if you don't take that window, you are what they call earthbound spirit. You're stuck here in this realm. until somebody comes along that's like a psychic medium or knows how to cross you over. But that may be 50 years, 100 years, who knows? Okay, and that's where spirits come that hasn't crossed